Good. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 6:02. When we're ready, I will accept the motion to adopt the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
David, you're up.
All right.
Seems like too much.
Yeah, I think that maybe we should talk about this. About easy stuff, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
procedural stuff.
All right.
I think.
Then we'll just,
Should we just
all those
say?
in favor? I'll call
Aye.
Aye.
it. There was Eric and AJ, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. We'll move to item 3.0, approval of the minutes. And we will look to approve the minutes of the May 14th, 2025 meeting. So item 3.1. The packet here.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, Scott, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Okay, we'll move to item 3.2, the May 21st, 2025 meeting.
I will move to approve the minutes from May 21st, 2025 meeting.
I'll second.
Second, AJ. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. All right, we're going to move to item 4.0, about Board of Governors recognition, or reorganization, sorry. So seating and reorganization or recognition of the new and continuing board members. So we have two, new change for this year, but we'll have two student representatives. We have Lily Bonnell and Ashlyn Craig. And they will both start in August, so we'll be able to welcome them in August. And then we have Con Injolu, sorry. I said it 5 times before the meeting, so. And then Bill McAdams and myself that'll be joining the board. And then continuing, we have Eric Fitzsimons, Frank Freeman, Ryan Maeda, Carol Riggs, AJ Roach, Amanda Weedle, and Scott Williams. Glad we're back. So, okay, we'll jump down to the oath of office. So myself, Con, and Bill will need to take the oath of office since we are starting our term. And Scott is going to read the oath, and we'll just repeat after him, all 3 of us at the same time.
Can you just stand and raise your right hand? Yep, I think so. I think it'll be fine. All right. I
Mr. Nelson.
do affirm
Do affirm.
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and the laws of the State of Colorado,
and the laws of the State of Colorado,
and will faithfully perform the duties
and will faithfully perform the duties
of the office of
of the office of
Board Member of University Schools,
Board Member of University Schools,
upon which I am about
upon which I am about
to enter to the best of my ability.
to enter to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Usually tab, but it's all of them just the same.
Yes. And then somebody has to witness as well.
Okay, all right.
And I think one of your neighbors can witness that.
Alright, Jim.
Has to witness, the.
Yeah, there's like a signature.
Well, they have that one as well.
Okay.
We got 2.
Two signatures.
Oh,
Oh,
you
you
need
need
to
officially print your name too.
No, I think you just have to accept it.
On the
I don't
bottom.
know if that's me that printed it.
Oh,
Okay,
this
so
is just
your signature
So I'm gonna sign.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
You want
You know what you're doing.
All right. Okay, we'll move to the board director agreements. So we got just a few agreements here for the new board members that'll need to read through those and check off that we agree to them and then print our name and sign them.
And that one's for everyone.
We all do it again every year? Okay. So, thank
Is
you.
there a spot we're supposed to sign in addition to printing our name? I mean, is it signed by us or is it signed by the board director? Right above, I'm sorry, who signs on the signed byline? The board director or?
We're all board directors.
Yes,
We
we're all-
changed our, right?
Oh.
Isn't that
Yeah.
our titles now?
Okay, sorry.
Since you last, yep.
Yeah, it'll change, it makes a big difference. Enough.
Great. Everybody's good? All right, we will move forward to the elections of officers and appointments. So the first one will be, we'll elect the chair, the vice chair, secretary, treasurer, financial advisor, committee of representation. So we'll just start at the top and work our way down. I currently am not the chair of the board, I'm just filling in, so we gotta do that. I will rerun as the chair if I support the board to do that. And I'm happy to do so. And then for vice chair, I would like to nominate Scott Williams to co-chair with me again, or vice chair, be my vice chair. Everybody feels like that's acceptable. Didn't know if any other nominations or anything that anybody wants to make.
I support that.
Okay.
That would require a vote, and probably a roll call vote.
Okay. All right.
That
Well,
one, I think we ought to do.
okay.
I would agree.
All right. I will accept the motion. Do we just a motion? Do we all just vote? It's just it's a motion. Okay.
I move that I nominate Justin for chair, Scott for vice chair, as a motion.
And I will second that.
All right.
I'm ready for the two, so.
Did we not just do secretary and treasurer all in one?
Just do it all in one.
Then I nominate AJ.
I was gonna say we could do it separate.
Well, yeah, I think either, I think do them all individually or all together.
Yeah.
If you're doing two and two,
Okay.
whatever, I guess it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter to me either. So
Because last year we voted on everything
all at once
and then approved.
Right.
David had us set up with Google Forms.
and computers.
Well,
And it's not
laptops.
exciting this year.
Let's go this year.
My
We
final-
regressed. I was so impressed last year.
If there's only one nomination per position.
Yeah, then we
just-
don't need a vote, yeah.
Well, we just vote on it and we're
Yeah.
done, one vote and we're done. If there's two nominations for a position, we would have to vote that separate. How does that
That's
sound?
not right, because you could vote all, have one person, someone could vote against one person, but not another.
That's true.
Just go into
I'm good with that, but I'm not good with that, or good with that, or not. I'm just, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Procedure.
That's fine.
I'm just.
Okay, why don't we
just go one at a time.
Perfect, love it.
Make it easy.
All right,
Okay,
let's
so we move,
re-motion
I
for
will
chair.
amend the
Amend.
motion to vote Justin as chair.
and I will second that.
All right.
And David will now roll call vote.
Chair made the motion.
So you need to vote even though you make a motion?
Okay.
Carol,
Yes.
AJ,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Con,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Justin.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, all right.
Frank is not here. Amanda.
Yes.
And Ryan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Motion passes.
Great.
Okay, now you need a motion on the vice chair. Then I will move Scott as vice chair.
I'll second.
Sure, got it. Okay. Carol,
Yes.
AJ,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Con,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Justin.
Yes.
Frank's not here. Amanda.
Yes.
And Ryan.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it.
Yes.
All right. Now we'll move to the secretary.
I nominate AJ. I move the nomination.
I second that.
All right. Carol,
Yes.
AJ,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Con,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
and Ryan.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Now we'll move to the treasurer.
Do we need
We-
a treasurer?
Traditionally had somebody who's technically been competent in the role of treasury as we've done this. We have, huh?
Does the treasurer have to do anything?
Well, last year
Yeah.
it was Tim and he left.
That's true.
Yeah,
Okay.
so do we have to have one?
I think,
I don't think it'd be great to not have a treasurer or a
Yeah.
financial.
I think we need to have one or the other. So,
Love to have a volunteer.
Yes.
okay.
Bill.
All right, I'm now
Treasurer
treasurer
or
of financial
Easy.
advisor.
Justin was looking right here.
Well,
You got
Ryan
it.
came off mute, we can ask
So he
Ryan.
has to keep.
Ryan, did you have a nomination for treasurer, or were you wanting to put your hand up?
I don't care. Whatever.
Or financial advisor, we
Or
also have that, same for you, Bill. Either one.
I
Okay. Good.
We go with treasurer.
All right.
Okay.
Great.
Then I will second that.
Right. And here we go again. Carol,
Yes.
AJ,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Con,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
and Ryan.
Yes.
No, we haven't had a financial advisor for a few years. It's been something that we've left vacant. We have interest in having
think
one.
we've kind of said, hey, if we've gotten into something where we really think we need it, that may be a non-voting role on the board to go get a professional counsel and financial advisor.
Okay.
I would recommend we keep it that way.
Like it's not.
Okay. Does that need a vote?
No.
All he needs to vote if he's all appoints one.
Okay.
No, we should be good. We can just leave it as it is.
Okay.
All right. Okay, we will move on to committee representation. So 1 to 2 volunteers per subcommittee here, and we can kind of go through and give more background to them if you'd like to know information on them, or we can just accept volunteers for each subcommittee. So we can just start with Building Corporation. I was on Building Corporation, but we've never met, so that'd be something we need to follow up with.
So the building corporation holds the bonds, our bonds. And they have to meet once a year, do annual minutes and an annual budget to allow the payment of our bonds from the general fund to the building corporation who pays the bonds. So that's basically what it is. It's not super active, but you do have to meet once a year.
And we're not turning those bonds over. That happens in what year?
2045.
2045.
And the building corporation actually has its own board of directors because it's a separate tax ID, it's a separate entity, it's a tax status is different, all of that. So they have a board. So you would just like sit, you would go to, yeah, you'd be like the liaison.
Okay. So,
Guess if there are people who were on committees that wanted to continue on them, I might want to start there to see if they, so that we have some continuity. But
And maybe just a brief explanation of each committee.
I don't think we have.
Go
I
ahead.
don't think we have anyone actively on that right now, but I've sat with it before, so I'd be willing to sit with me again.
Greg was our last. Yeah, Greg was the last one.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
capital
For the-
planning is working on the master plan for our campus. We've got some drafts and have sent them back. And now we're ready to go through the second draft phase. The foundation,
And prior, that was AJ.
yeah, AJ and I think Justin was on that one year. I don't know if
Yep.
you were last
Justin.
year.
Okay.
Foundation, last year was Tim and Ryan. Tom is currently active with the foundation. That's our support structure to try and raise funds to support campus. Joint use, Eric has been on historically. That's where we work
Yep.
through auditorium things with Frontier. MTSS is multi-tiered system of support. Currently Scott and Carol are on that. That's joining our staff committee. Policy, we have typically not had board members on the past, but we decided last year, and then the policy committee hasn't met since then, that we were gonna try to have 1 or 2 members of the board join that committee, especially since we're looking at some policy updates. We never got to that, but I think Carol and who else volunteered? I was gonna say, we had some people volunteered to work on that. Budget is where we need to go over the first draft from Sue of the budget. Ryan was gonna be on that. AJ filled in for him, and Eric was on that committee this year.
As treasurer, Bill, you might consider doing that, just.
I was gonna say, when we had a financial advisor, they sat in.
So AJ, you want to continue capital planning? Okay. Any additional interest for capital planning?
I think Amanda was on that as well.
Okay.
yeah, I was on that.
Awesome. All right, foundation. That's
Ryan and I
Ryan.
both are in
Both, okay, so Ryan and Tony? Let's see, Ryan's over there. I thought you were. Okay. Joint use, Eric, you're
Glad to do that.
yeah.
I was gonna say that's specialized
locked in
niche
there.
knowledge.
MTSS, stay,
I'll continue.
will continue.
I'm actually more interested in policy this year
Okay.
than MTSS. If somebody wants to take that MTSS spot, I'd be
Okay.
okay giving it up.
I'd also like to do policy.
Awesome.
We do Scott and Carol on policy. Okay. I can do the MTSS.
Anybody else interested in MTSS? Just
Yeah. Anybody else interested in that?
Sorry, Scott was telling me a little bit about
Oh,
this.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's a, he was saying it meets roughly monthly.
So the first year we met every month, last year we tried every other month. We haven't set the calendar for this year. It's, the time is based on whenever the teachers, most of the teachers on the committee are off when they're planning this, because we meet during the day. So I think this year we met at like 11, does that sound right, 11:30?
I don't know, it was like, yeah.
But it's during the day.
And the
because
goal
that's most of the
is-
teachers. So this year, last year we focused on attendance. This year we're gonna work on implementing those, so it'll be mostly focused around attendance. We're starting with some campaigns to raise awareness with families of the importance of attendance. We've been doing a big attendance challenge in conjunction with the badge is where we're starting this year.
Yeah, I'm happy.
But
to sit on
attendance,
that.
behavior, discipline, and instruction are the four kind of big areas.
Okay. And Justin, you were the other?
Carol.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Carol was called.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Great.
I'd be glad to continue sitting in on the budget.
Okay. Great.
Do that, Sheriff, that's all right, anyone else?
Okay. Perfect. I'll do building court with Ryan. Okay. Perfect. Okay.
If Frank may want to join something, I guess
Yeah.
he's trying to use the only,
We can.
anyone that doesn't have to.
Yeah.
I think like Frank came to Capitol Planning too. I think we maybe announced that as a meeting because I think there were a lot of people who were. I feel like
I think he said he was gonna be on it, but the meeting we had, I
Oh, it
don't
was
believe
after.
he made it, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Which
think
is
he-
always an option.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
yeah, we just have to
Yeah.
publicly announce.
Okay.
We have
So
3.
we can just ask him whenever he comes back.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, seems set. All right. We'll move on to community dialogue. Nothing spicy, right? All right. Okay, and we will continue on to staff reports. We'll go to 6.1, the superintendent's update.
Welcome back, everybody. So I think it was kind of nice to have a little break in June. We're down to skeleton crew here in the summer. Business office and Dennis and I, Jared and Taylor both work in the summer in technology. Are about the only people that are here regularly. But we do have a lot going on. I will say this is the first year I've been here that we haven't had a huge project in the middle of things. So that's been a little bit of a nice break. We are planning for a lot of projects. Obviously, the kitchen renovation cafeteria is the biggest one, so I'll talk about that as one of the discussion items. And Dennis is here to answer any questions. He's taking the lead on that one. We also have moved a lot of offices. If we continue on our trend of moving through the agenda quickly, I'd love to walk you around quickly if you want, because we did have a lot of moves happening, so you can see where people are going to be. Dennis also headed up that operation, move it. Went really well, it's smooth, but it was, how many people do we have?
18.
I was gonna say, it's a lot of moves, and Dennis coordinated all of that really smoothly. But like I said, I'm happy to walk you around afterwards so you can see where we're gonna be. We got a lot of planning going on. Most of these are all of Dennis's. Epic, we've been working, there's a huge 6 pallets I think showed up of our first round of equipment to get installation started at end of July is when they'll be here to install. But Jeff's been working hard on that. Dennis has been meeting along with Jeff to make some upgrades on radios and to do a camera analysis. Our external cameras are all managed and we're installed with really lock and key. But all the internal ones, we do all of that ourselves. And we're definitely reaching the point that they're ready for some upgrades.
Hey, Jennifer,
yeah.
could you take a step back onto Epic for a couple
Yeah.
of new people here?
So
Behind you.
Epic is going to do sort of two, they seem like really different things, but classroom audio enhancement. So teachers will have mics that they wear that then project their sound throughout the room. Our middle school has one of the first versions of that. That was pretty new when that building was built. So this is another version of that. Saves teachers' voices, helps with the acoustics, makes it so kids can hear teachers equally well wherever they're at in the room. The other part of that is it'll serve as our PA system because we've had a lot of problems with our PA for years now. Currently, our current system has to be serviced by only a certain provider. There are only 2 in the state, and they never want to provide service. Like service provider, just like the ironic name for them. But this system is going to allow us to make all of those changes ourselves. We can control zones, we can control volume, we can make announcements to only certain parts of the building, which is obviously a big thing here, trying to not constantly interrupt each other. It has a lot of safety and security upgrades that'll be great for us. Teachers on that same lapel mic, let's not go lapel mic, lanyard mic, has a panic button on it, allows the office to respond to that panic button by color on the monitor so that a teacher knows they've been acknowledged. The nice thing is that it integrates also with our cameras, so we can pull up, if we get a panic button, let's say from this room when this hit it, we'd be able automatically, the cameras that are closest to that come up on the control panel so we can see immediately what's happening there without having to go separately to our control system. So it's a big project, it's a very expensive project that we approved, I guess just last month, approved in May. But it's going to be a huge advantage over the system that we currently have. So that's a big project that's underway, and we divvied it up into phases. So this is phase 1. Another thing that sort of ties in with that a little bit is we've had conversations with Laura Chafin about grant opportunities. You might remember Laura helped us with the E-rate funding. And she's a 3-time Best Grant awardee and also a variety of other grants. So she's got a lot of experience with that. And while we've done really well with grants, it also, when you start trying to get into lots of big ones, if I spend all my time writing that would be all I would do. So Laura's been a great asset, and so we're just got to with her other options she can look for. Things in addition to these that'll go on the plate. Our playgrounds. There's a lot of great opportunities out there that I screen and send to her for inclusive playgrounds, which is one of the missions of the playground that we want to build. So that we've put on her plate to see if she can help us with some options and perhaps write that grant. Going after the Elementary Smart Lab grant. Katie and I did the preliminary meetings with Otter Cares last year, and then trying to go after another Well Trust grant. So those are all the things that we're considering trying to find some good revenue sources for, and Laura might be available to help us write some of those. I also wanted to I saw the email that Justin sent you, but I just wanted to take a minute to thank publicly and appreciate Anna and Louie supporting our speech and debate team. Found themselves in the middle of a tough situation at their national competition, and Anna and Louie jumped in to do everything they could to reunite the kids to get back to their hotels safely. And then I really wanted to especially thank Jeff and Justin, who were both allegedly on summer break, for jumping on airplanes to go out and drive the kids back and support them. Everybody's been working really hard since then to make sure they have all the individual support they need. And then we partnered with North Range, is going to do some follow-up work and some debrief work with them, starting, I think the first session is July 7th, so when we get back. So I just thought it was a tough, difficult situation, and I really appreciate everybody jumping in to try to support them and help them. And then I wanted to highlight on the personnel report, you'll see one of the new hires. This was the only new position that we approved this year, is assistant principal for restorative practices. That position was an evolution of a couple of things. One was the grant that we've been participating in. This will be year 2 with Galt County for restorative practices and integrating in the indoor building. The other thing, as you know, on our parent, student, and staff survey from not this year, but the year, not this year that just finished, but the year before, was really wanting to make our behavior practices more effective and also more restorative. So this position will work with, it's big shoes. It's a K-12 position that'll work with students, parents, administrators, and teachers. So it's a lot of hats to wear, but they'll head up the PD and continue year 2 of that grant. So that grant, if you remember, we divvy up into 3 years. So they'll lead the year 2 efforts from a professional development standpoint. That'll be the focus again of our K-12 time together on those Monday and service days that teachers work. They'll also be responsible for continuing to implement Wayfinder. You'll remember this year, the year that just finished, in the middle of this year versus next year versus last year. But last year was the first year for Wayfinder, so this will be year 2 of implementation. So last year was a lot of just get it started, just get going. This year will be a lot of refining and trying to really pick which of the lessons are working best for us and the time frame for them. So they'll continue to head up that. They'll also work with all of our teachers this year. The Tier 2 practices that we'll be implementing are restorative conversations and norm setting circles. So they'll be working hand in hand with teachers to actually co-facilitate and more model for them those in the classroom. Restorative conversations are one-on-one with a teacher and student or one-on-one with 2 students. So the AP will be in charge of those conversations. Our administrators are going to work on implementing more restorative reentry plans. So currently, if your child is suspended, you come in and have a meeting with the administrator and develop sort of a plan or a contract for how you're going to return to school. So Kyle will help support them, and there's a restorative template to try to follow with that. So those are the kind of things, and then just working one-on-one with some really difficult kids. You remember last year, I gave you some information on a very difficult situation that we had. So this is a person that can help develop that plan. So we interviewed, this was a position we had a ton of interest in. We received a ton of applications. We interviewed 6 candidates. And we ended up selecting Kyle Mills, who many of you know. Kyle was currently working as an instructional coach. So Kyle moved over to the AP position, and then we decided not to fill Kyle's position this year based on the budget situation we were in, and also that's very similar. Those of you that have been running a couple years with the same employees positions for a coach. We left that vacant for a year to really see, is this something we really need? Are we dire without it? We gave us some feedback. So this will give us a chance to do the same thing. I will see how the year goes without that position and see if we feel like it's essential and see if our budget position improved or not. And that'll give us good information about if it's a position that we feel like we can continue to fund or not. Because that initially was funded through ESSER grant funds. And I think that's, like I said, a lot happening. Jared's working really hard in Taylor to get all the buildings ready. They've been working really hard with Corfa. Upstairs is already done. Middle school upstairs is done. Both the cafeterias are almost finished. So they're definitely right on track for having everything clean and sparkling and ready to go for the end of the year. We've got registration stuff. David and I worked on that today. That'll go out on Tuesday. We're gonna try to send it a lot of different ways. This year we're actually gonna include a checklist that we mail home again. I'm trying to go old school with technology because there are a lot of changes. School supplies are different this year, the class fees are different, pictures we're doing on site during summer again, so that'll be, people that have been around a long time will look more like how we used to do registration. But a lot going on there, so the first round of that will go out on the 7th, and trying to keep parents in the loop. It's hard sometimes over the summer, but we'll send that stuff out through Parent Square. Like I said, we're actually going to add a mailing this year to try to make sure everybody knows all the pieces and parts of getting ready for school. Dave's got a section built on the website that's just for that, so everything's in one place. So it'll be a little easier one-stop shopping that has all of those things. We're working hard on getting the calendar ready to go. Not the student calendar, but our meeting calendars and all those things laid out for the year. All of our PE plans for the year. We do still have 2 positions that are open, so if you have any people in mind, please forward them. We've still got a kindergarten position open and our K-12 gifted specialist position open. So those are both really important jobs, so we're working hard to try to find the right people, but summer's always a tough time to hire. But those are, I think that's the last hiring that we have. You'll see on the personnel report, the other things we hired, K-12 substitute position open, health clerk position was open, and we had, and then it's not on here because it's not our position, but we hired a special education paraprofessional at a short place when we left. And all 3 of those jobs, we had really great candidates and would have been happy with about our top 4 in all of those. So those positions went really well. So we're down to, it's not just kindergarten and gifted, so we're working on those. But if you have friends and family, definitely send them our way. That's where our best people always come from referrals. So quite a busy.
No counselors?
No. That's first time in a long time no counselors. We hired such great people last year to be counselors. I hope we keep them for a very long time because they were awesome hires. But no, not a single one.
Nice.
And in the second, no fifth grade teachers. Those are the 2 places we hired. A lot of counselors and a lot of fifth grade teachers. So. And this continues to be by far our smallest hiring season since I've been here. I think even with these, I think we're still like maybe 7. And we've the last couple years been more like 20, 25. So this is so far been a really good year for retention.
Nice.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll jump down to the business manager's update.
Okay, we're presenting May 30th financials since we didn't have a June meeting. So the surplus at 5/31 is $190,664. And the MLO surplus is a little more, $264,966. On our general fund, other items deficit is $74,302. Adding those together, you get the $196,664. You'll see those splits on the bottom of the revenue page. For those of you who are new, I throw those out, and sometimes they're like, "What are you talking about?"
So is that before or after the prepayment on the adjustments that we're making?
That is after.
That's after.
So if you remember, we asked District 6 to withhold $100,000 for special ed and $80,000 for the MLO funding that was overfunded, and that happened in May, so that includes
That's
this,
great.
which is great. It's great. Still got ways to go on that, but that's great. Okay, you also see that we're gonna be getting some reimbursements from District 6 for our title funding and also from Ames. So we have the High School of Business program here for concurrent enrollment. So what the process is that we end up paying Ames for the tuition, and then at the end of the year, for those courses that are taught by teachers on site, they reimburse us. I had 145,000 estimated in. I got the letter or email from them. It's just over 143,000. So we'll get that, which is still nice. Yeah, pretty close. And I got that letter in June, so I've put that into the bookkeeping for June, so we'll see it in there, as well as that title reimbursement. So.
And you guys, I waited until Jeff was gonna be here next and asked him to go over it, but we got our annual report from Ames just last week. It was really good. The number of, I was really pleasantly surprised with the number of first generation students, the percentage of minority students, and the number of certificates and program degrees that kids earned this year. They all almost doubled, some of them tripled. So those were really good. Programs really taking off each year, but this year, I think adding that aviation program made a huge difference. We had a lot of kids who were interested in that, and they earned their certificate. That's a certificate earning program. So I'll have, when Jeff's here next time, go over it with you, but it was really good. So I think that is money well spent.
It is. It's good money. So continuing on that box, you'll see that that's about $210,000 of additional things we're gonna get reimbursed on. So our general fund is actually in a surplus position once we get those funds back in. So we'll see that in June. I did look ahead a little bit to yesterday, June 30th, our fiscal year end. And we're running at about a $678,000 surplus, which is great. Of course, I don't have the splits yet because I need to finish the financial stuff and all the things we do at month end and year end. So I know we still have our payroll accruals to do, which basically is when we pay July's payroll. Most of the people are on the contract year ending payroll in July 31st. That payroll has to be accrued back to June because there's a matching principle that we do. If you get revenue in one fiscal year, you have to match the expenses in one fiscal year. So July's payroll is really money that is spent in the fiscal year this year. So right now, I just have a reporting feature into the books of an estimate of what that accrual looks like. So we'll accrue that payroll back into June, and then I'll remove that reporting feature, and then we'll have an ending number. So that 678 may drop a little bit. It's probably gonna drop a little bit. I think I only have like 908,000, and last payroll was about 911 or something, so it shouldn't drop too bad, but we'll see. So that's still happening. Of course, all the year-end things that we do in the business office to make sure the auditors are happy, that'll all happen in July. So by August, I should be far enough along on the books that you'll have a pretty good report where we're gonna end on June 30th. Because we'll have all those accruals in there, and so it'll look good, and the auditors will be ready to start their audit, so. All right, we talked about the revenues with the tile money coming back. I also realized as I was doing the report tonight that I think I missed the capital construction. I think there's still 1 or 2 payments that need to come to us. The state is dragging their feet. So I sent District 6 an email. I got a bounce back message that Teresa's out of the office until Monday. So I have a feeling that money just hasn't been transmitted to us. It's probably at District 6 and just hasn't got to us yet. So I'm not worried about that. We'll get that accrued in there. Expense-wise, I'm a little unnerved about the game officials, man. The game officials has just gone up and it's very, very expensive. For some reason, our vehicle maintenance ballooned too, and I don't remember anything specific coming across my desk, but those are a little bit higher than normal. One thing I want to talk about, the percentages. You know, I always talk about we're at like 91%. Right now, we're at 91% of our budget. You'll see on both the revenue and expenses, we're still in the 80% category. So if the $600,000 placeholder that we have for the pension contribution that the state injects directly into Para for us, If you take that $600,000 out of our budget and you recalculate that number into our actuals, it's right at 90% for both of them. So we're really right on track for 91% of our budget. So that's really good too. I'm happy about that, especially since 180,000 has already been reshuffled. So that's it in general fund. Capital fund, we have a small deficit, 35,962. Of course, we're spending some of that MLO savings. But on the revenue side, we did get most of the BEST grant back, so that money got put back into the capital fund to offset the roof costs that we did. I still have a request in for another 54,000 or 56,000, can't remember. So we're waiting on that. Our interest income for the month was just over $6,000, so that's been great. We can use those funds for capital improvements, all that interest. So super happy about that. We've been getting some good interest since I complained. People are ripping us off. Anyway, yeah, so in the expenses, we just paid some lingering technology items that was about 22,000 or something we paid. So, and one last thing, we had a very nice surprise from the state. Apparently, there was a mill levy match that the state had somehow factored into their budget. And it came through, and it was based on per pupil. We got almost $195,000 of a mill levy grant from the state. It's a one-time gig, and Megan made it really clear that it's not in the budget for 25-26, but it was for 24-25. And so we'll be able to use that $195,000 next year. Our technology needs are pretty great. So I've already moved that money from general to capital. It's ready to go for next fiscal year. I was happy.
Yeah.
That's all I have. I was kind of long-winded. Sorry, more for the newer people.
That's all right.
Well, you guys, so what do you do? I should have included in my update that's more relevant now. I got today updates from CASE, which is our administrative executive group, from the League of Charter Schools, and then also from Commissioner Cordova, all with the same message. The good news is that it doesn't impact us a whole lot, but it definitely impacts District 6. So in the ongoing interesting relationship we're having with the federal government right now, we received they've released most of the money, which is supposed to get released on the July 1 rate for the year. But there are there are 8 funds that have not been released. And there's still a lot of uncertainty in terms of, are they getting released? Are they just on hold? What's happening with them? Most of them are to support English language learners.
What about food? Is there anything?
So no, the food, so the things that are on here are migrant education. So we only have 3 students that are currently served through that program through District 6, but District 6 has a large program in that area. Supported a portion of Title II, not a portion that we use. We don't have this grant, so that, and I don't believe District 6 has that grant. Title III, which is for English language acquisition. District 6, again, we don't have any staff that are paid, I don't think, from that fund, but District 6 definitely does. 21st Century Community Learning Centers, we are not a site, District 6 has a couple, and those are large projects. That's if you're familiar with like Boys and Girls Club after school programs, they're similar to that. Project Aware, we don't have, but we did benefit quite a bit of PD from that. That was a mental health grant. Part of the workforce integration that was from Title II, but again, that isn't something we got money from that portion of it. And then Healthy Schools grant, which we didn't receive, but District 6 did, but that isn't where our lunch money comes from. So there's a lot of uncertainty, and those are all big chunks of change. Like I said, for District 6, that's really a lot of money. So the guidance really was, you can either spend the money and run at a deficit in your budget, assuming that you're gonna get reimbursed eventually, that you can choose to cut the programs, and if you then get money later, you can reinstate the programs. It doesn't work so well with actual people, but from an accounting standpoint, I can see how that makes sense. But you can't supplant. So if you spend that money out of our regular operating funds, you can't then accept grant money from it because it's supplanting your budget. So people are definitely in a bit of a pickle. I guess fortunately for us, most of those are not programs that we participate in, so I don't think it will have a huge issue on us, but certainly things that impact District 6 budget a lot of times will filter in one way or another to our budget. So just wanted to make you aware that that's definitely at the top of mind of all of our advocacy groups are very concerned. And it's just another, so far, most of the stuff that the federal government has chosen not to release to schools has then been mandated through the court system to implement, and so we ended up getting it back eventually. That happened with the libraries at CDE. They were cut as part of the grant program, and then a judge ruled that they couldn't do that. Same thing with a lot of ed department staff, so it's a lot of back and forth, but I did want to let you know that that is a significant amount of money that the federal government hasn't released that should have been released, would have been expected to have been released today. So we'll just have to see how that plays out.
Could affect PD for us too. Some of those programs offer PD for our staff.
All right. Is there any questions for Sue? Any further on that? Great. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. There's only one item on the consent agenda this evening, and that's personnel. So we'll kind of review that. Questions on that? I can take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Who's taking over Jolene's classes?
So all the people at the bottom that say 110 next to them, that's a pair designation that will opportunity to retire, and then they take a month off, and then they return and get to work 1 year. So they can only have 1
Okay.
One-ish. Year after they're retired, so she'll
Got
still
it.
teach
Okay.
this year. All 3 of those people will remain in their current positions for this coming school year, and then both of them next year.
You can work 110 days each calendar year. So you get 110 from start of school till Christmas, and then 110 from January to the end of school.
So you can do a full.
Got
So
it.
you can do a full school year.
So you can be retired and get paid for 1 year.
Okay.
And I think there's some exceptions about that, but in general, that's how it works. 1 year that you get to claim retirement and also still work. In theory, you take up a month, but that works pretty well in the school system because they are already getting their Monday.
I'll motion to approve their consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Sure.
Carol.
Yes.
AJ.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
That's right here. Scott.
Yes.
Justin.
Yes.
Amanda.
I don't vote on personnel.
Sorry, first time. Ryan.
Yes.
Great. Motion carries. Okay, we will move on to item 7.2, meeting dates and times. So typically, we've always met on the second Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. The dates listed here reflect that. This is the one time that we can choose to change that date or time, or leave things the same.
We generally change on Valentine's Day, if anyone cares.
Which isn't
I
there.
don't think we have that conflict this time.
It's not, and we meet on the 11th this time.
So that means you're gonna have to buy candy, Ryan. Flowers.
Hey, whatever.
And the March 11th, that's not our spring break, is it?
No, it's
Probably not. The
before.
next week would be, right?
I was thinking it doesn't look like there's any conflicts.
I didn't, we didn't see it when we.
Like the first year.
It actually looked like they were,
Seems good. Okay.
I know, there's usually always.
All right. So we can take a motion to approve the meeting dates and times to reflect second Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m.
I will move to accept the new dates and times for the second Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m.
All right. Eric?
I'll second.
Scott?
Right. Carol,
Yes.
EJ,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
do you vote?
And yes.
All right. Ryan,
Yes.
Great. Motion carries. Okay, we'll move to 7.3, the University School Board of Governors calendar. Now, is there a packet here?
And some of these flex depending on when we got them, when we got our CMAT scores or when we got survey results compiled, like some of them flex a little bit, but this is at least close to what we usually try to do.
And I think we also wanted to make sure we put in there as quickly as possible the new board member training as well this year. So,
Something different than onboarding here.
no, not necessarily. We just want to make sure.
Did you guys already on board?
They are.
Did they? Oh, you
I did
already
the
on board?
onboarding, yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I'm like, is it a different?
2 weeks ago. Okay, well, I'm glad that was done then.
Awesome.
Yeah, we used that.
Is it part
With
of
our
the
attorney this year,
calendar?
that was nice.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll say that.
that was the change.
Yeah.
It was with the attorney this year, and it was
So
done very well.
did we get a new attorney?
Did he retire?
What, Amanda?
The attorney, did he retire?
Becky.
We did change attorneys.
Okay.
So we could add that to the June month, it just as a, when it actually happens in the board meeting training,
Yeah, we definitely do that.
so.
Do we need to put on their contract renewal
Oh.
for Jennifer?
Well,
That
it's
need to be on this.
December,
Is it on there already? I
well, it
just missed
says
it.
mid-year check-in.
Right, that's,
It does not.
to me, that's different.
This year we have our contract renewal in January. We need to
January.
vote on it in December. So, because it'll be
You have to vote on it by December is the last.
By December.
month you can
or auto renew in January.
Mhm.
So,
Well, do you wanna change that mid-year check-in to contract review?
that works. Okay. So then we'll look for a motion to approve the Board of Governors calendar for 25-26 with the addition of superintendent's contract review in December and new board member training in June.
I have a question before we go. On November, is that just a streak or is that meant to be crossed out?
No, that's crossed out. I wanted to leave it there because we do that every other year.
Okay.
So I wanted to not take it off so we didn't forget to put it back on, but straight through so you knew that this is the
Okay.
every other year.
And
So
this
this
one
is the year.
And we have it in June also, the parent survey results.
Oh, that should be staff.
Okay. All right, change that to staff in June.
Yes.
Staff survey results. Okay.
And then that also, that goes with, I think we decided to do the parent survey every other year with staff and then to do the learning forward every other year, and we didn't do that this year. So actually next year, I'll put it straight through the staff survey as well. Next year will actually be the Learning Forward survey. I don't usually share those results with the board, but I certainly can. That's a staff survey about professional development and climate and culture. But I can. So.
I'd be interested to hear a quick report on those results. When they're out.
I will just alternate those every other year. We'll do staff 1 year, Learning Forward next.
Great.
Awesome. Okay, so we need a motion to approve that. The calendar.
Approve the calendar.
I'll second.
Okay, Jane Carroll.
Yes.
All right. Yes, AJ.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Colin.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Justin.
Yes.
Amanda.
Yes.
Ryan.
All right, we will move on to 7.4, the kitchen renovation and cafeteria addition.
So, thanks to Dennis for taking the lead on this. He and Jared have worked incredibly hard to try to get this to this stage. So, thank you for working hard. So a couple pieces. We've come, and AJ can also answer lots of questions about this as well. We've come a long way through a lot of iterations this year. We started meeting with the District 6 nutrition team November-ish to really go through their wish list. Those of you that are not new or remember, we've had lots of conversations about the amount of students that the cafeteria was built for, and the amount of students that we're now serving has exponentially increased. So a couple of things we eventually settled on were to move all of the storage and almost all of the refrigeration and cooler storage outside, which isn't even a thing I need to do. But that provided us with the room and the square footage that we needed in the kitchen to focus on equipment and not having to do major renovations in the kitchen. Because initially, when we first met with District 6, they're like, that kitchen's too small. We can't work within that footprint. So that led to a hefty price tag. But we have gone ahead and ordered, that's under the $200,000 limit, so we went ahead and got those ordered because of the lead time on them. Although it looks like it's shrunk since when we first started talking to them. They initially told us maybe more like 12 weeks. Now I think they're much more like 8. So we're hoping maybe we'll get them a little bit sooner. And if you think about it, I think of it like a runway, just because I flew recently. You know, you attach the tunnel to the gate to the plane. That's very much how these will work. They're outside, but they'll be connected straight directly into the kitchen. So even though they're outside, because people go in and out, it's not like they're going outside. So they're very cool. So that's one big expense that sort of gave us a whole lot more options. The other thing is a combi oven. So right now we have separate equipment to steam, to cook, to do all those things. Now we've got all those things in one oven. So we're gonna be buying 4 of those, which is another large expense. We went ahead and got those ordered so they can be on their way to us. Because those are both things we can use separate from the kitchen renovation. They'll go right into place where they are or outside. So we don't have to do those in conjunction with the addition. As soon as they're here, we can switch those out and start improving the experience for the kitchen staff. So those are sort of the 2 big expenses in the kitchen equipment realm. We've got other things that we'll buy, but those are the 2 big ones that we've already made progress on. Then that gave us enough room in the kitchen to work within the footprint that we had. The other thing that you remember we've mentioned a variety of times is like the dirty word of this edition is the grease strap was right in the way, and so that really changed where we could put the addition. So AJ's team worked really hard to try to figure out how can we still have a point of connection and how can we move it and still maximize the square footage. We went through a lot of different iterations of that. We've had triangles and wedges and square, like we've gone through all the options. So what you have in front of us is where we've settled. This is almost totally finished. So basically, the addition will take up the grass if you're at the loop looking towards the school, is basically in some version where it will be. We made it as big as we could afford, and we made it as multi-purpose as we could afford. So we still have high enough ceilings to be able to use it as a multi-purpose space. So we're hoping that Sharon Dance can spend some time in there. We're hoping that our drone program might be able to spend some time in there, as well as down the road if we need some additional PE space. I'm hoping that that can turn into a professional development space, because right now we're in a middle school gym, which is definitely not ideal for PD. So we're hoping that can become our home base for that eventually. So we've tried really hard to make it as multi-purpose as possible. We're definitely down, I don't know what you'd say, I would say we're down to bare bones. We definitely have cut anything we can think of that wasn't essential to try to keep the square footage big, because we really need the space. So this space will become our elementary cafeteria, and then our current cafeteria space will become high school in connection with the patio, will be their space. Kids probably would not enjoy hearing this, but our goal long-term was to try to build enough capacity that we could consider having freshmen and possibly freshmen and sophomores stay on campus. Because we really feel like for a million reasons that would be, from a discipline standpoint, a safety standpoint, the availability of tutoring and clubs during lunch, there are a lot of reasons why I feel like that would be, Jeff has wanted that, and we've just never been able to make it work with the side of our cafeteria. So our kitchen staff basically is going to be serving from both sides. So the front side would be for the high school, and simultaneously they'll be working the back side for the new elementary space. We've worked really hard to try to make that flexible, so all the equipment that we bought that'll live in the addition is all mobile, so it can get pushed back. And I think we're still working on trying to have doors to close it off at least a little bit. So that's sort of ballpark where we're at. We have a range of dollars at this point. We're hoping that maybe by next month we might have an actual contract and bid ready for you to approve. But I think the range now is only about $300,000 off from top to bottom, so it's not a super large range. So we've met with Sue to talk through, if you remember, we were able to transfer some money from Building Corps to pay, that was oil and gas money, to pay for some of the kitchen equipment, and then we're using the funds from the BEST grant, went to the roof, and then the bond funds from the roof are now coming back to us to pay for this. So that's District 6 is on board with that. They actually worked out with Sue an agreement to just send money directly to us instead of us having to do another round of reimbursements, because you see with the construction fund that they're always at least a month or two behind, and like, that's just a hassle. So I thought that was really great that they're doing give the money, the reimbursement money directly to us, so that we can work through that. And if we are going to have to spend additional money, which we're definitely going to have to spend some additional money on top of that, we have the additional money that we just got back. We've got that $238,000 that we put in the budget for the one-time capital. Was it a competitive grant? I don't even know if the grant has any facilities assistance program, I think. So that money's in there. So we probably are going to have some additional expense, but we're doing the very best we can to keep it as close to that BEST grant number combined with oil and gas, or the two major funding sources that we're working from. So we're hoping that next month we'll have for you that actual contract for you to approve for the construction. Like I said, we, because they were both under our spending limits, went ahead and bought the combi ovens and the Polar King outdoor refrigeration and cooling things. There's also a storage room in here that we, at this moment, are planning we're going to put all the cheer mats in, which if you've ever run around with those mats are get moved pretty regularly from door to door, and they're really hard to move and they take a lot of space. So we try to make that storage space big enough to leave those in there all the time. So we've worked, like I said, a lot of people have worked really hard, and we've redesigned this about 1 million times. But this is pretty close to where we think we'll end up with final plans. And then, like I said, I should have a final budget for you next time. But I wanted to give you an update on where we were.
I like it. It's good to see a plan of our, at least.
And I can pull it up if you want, but if you're looking at the plan, the addition is this part. All of that part is all existing. It's just the front part that will be new, where it says storage room and cafeteria.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it'll be really great. Like I said, it gives us a lot of options from a multi-use standpoint. If you've ever been in our cafeteria, it's elementary. Currently, like, I hope you're right at the, it is a lot. It's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So I think this will be a lot more conducive space. Like I said, it definitely, our high school right now, eat in the patio if they can fit, and then spread themselves all over campus, and then go off campus as well. So this definitely will be a benefit for them. Cheer and dance both have a really hard time booking space. Those of you that have been around for a little while, they've come before us to ask for much better space. So I think this will help them a lot. And like I said, space to fly. We only have a couple places on campus that have tall enough ceilings for some of our aviation and drone action. So I think it's going to be really good. And District 6 is really appreciative that we've invested in trying to upgrade the kitchen and make it feasible to feed all the kids in the They're really happy to see the changes.
Yeah.
And like I said, I appreciate, and I just will throw a thank you. District 6 has been amazing partners. Dennis and Dennis have met together, I don't even know. I sat in on the first couple and you guys have met 20 times since then. Just going back and forth trying to figure out, like I said, right from the get-go, we're like, I don't think we can afford to change the footprint of the kitchen. Like, I think it needs to stay. And so the solutions that they come up with are creative, and so I appreciate how hard everybody worked to try to make this a feasible option. It's really hard when you go to someone and say, like, I have this amount of money and we want this. And it's like, oh, those two don't match. Well, how can we make them match? Actually, there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of creative problem solving going into this. So I appreciate Dennis and Jared, who both worked really hard on these at District 6. It's been really good partners. They've helped us try to get better pricing for equipment and using their contracts and their contacts. Danielle is their nutrition supervisor. That's not her name. She will be the assistant. But basically loaned us Joel, who does all the equipment to work with us. So they've done really good questions on this.
Awesome. Great.
And construction, we'll just have to kind of see and work through, just like we always do. When things are ready and everything's good to go, we'll start building and we'll work around it. So we're thinking that we're still on track, maybe to start in fall and go from there. And as we don't have plans to use it this year, if some way it ends up done soon enough that we can start doing things in any part of second semester, we will. We're nothing if not flexible and resilient, so we'll figure it out as things happen. But we are planning to have construction available during the school year.
Is there much construction that has to happen in the kitchen? Or
No.
can they go ahead and, once we get all the new equipment, they can just
Yeah,
pretty
really
much
the
be
only
using the new?
things that are changing in the kitchen are the freezers are coming out, so that's, and then some demo in terms of the current, there's a walk-in cooler, so that's gotta come, that eventually is gonna turn into a dishwashing station, because we don't currently have dishwashing. That'll be another good benefit for us too. Right now, we have to do everything disposable. So if you're a person who's environmentally conscious, that's certainly not great to be putting out thousands of styrofoam plates and forks and all of those things every year. So being able to have a dishwasher, and it's a very nice dishwasher. If I never have to pay that much for a dishwasher. But so that'll be another thing. So no, not a ton of demo. It's all on that one wall where the bathroom is a ton of demo, because that's going to now be our connection point between the current kitchen and the new addition. but that won't happen until we get into construction.
So they can start having a little more space.
Yeah, as soon as the Pillar King shows up, we'll get that installed, we get those freezers and fridge out of there, because that takes up bigger room in the kitchen and the whole building. So it'll free up all of that space, and then like I said, the combi ovens then free up some of the steamers and some of the other great equipment. So, cool. So, yeah.
Great.
I think it'll be good.
All right. Thank you for the update. Okay, we will move to board reports and communication. I just want to say welcome, Bill and Colin. Excited to have you guys. And I'm happy to be here for another term, so that'll be fun. Really, it's been a pretty quiet summer, so I'm happy about that. We'll be back into the swing of things pretty quick here, so it's pretty exciting. So that's all I have for tonight. So we can drop down to communication from the board. We'll start with Carol.
I only have one question. The Bulldog Bash, are they gonna have a board table again?
We can, absolutely. Yeah.
And what time does that start?
So I tried to compress things a little bit. So we're gonna start at 5, we're gonna do 5 to 7. We always have parents every year who's real challenged to try to get here at 4:30. So we compressed a little bit. With the rotations now, we don't need to have that in between time for any music. That's one of the rotations. That we're going to continue that. Last year, we implemented the 3 chunks for visiting classrooms in elementary, and that's usually we have to spread people out, so we're able to smush it all. So 5 to 7 is scheduled. That schedule will go out with registration stuff, so we can send that to you guys next week.
Well, not having any children in the school.
Yeah, maybe you
I'm
can do
more
that.
than willing to do the board table.
Perfect. And we're also gonna move, I'm done with the weather, so we're gonna move that part of it inside. So the only part we'll do outside will be the pep rally at the end, and usually it's cooled off a little bit by then. But we've only had, this is 5th one or 6th? 5th one, I think. We only had one nice year. Every other year there's been a problem with the weather. So we're gonna move everything inside and set them all up for the gym's connection room, those things in the gym. So those of you that brave the track tables for an hour and that was rough. Yeah, that was rough. So we're not gonna do that again. We're gonna move it inside. So all we'll do outside, like I said, is the pep rally, but it's usually the home side's in the shade and it's a little cooler usually by then. So
That's all I had.
I don't have a whole lot. Summer's all good. Welcome to Phil and Con.
Thank you.
Nothing really to add, sorry.
One thing for you, I know we don't like throwing away plastics and those kind of things. We're actually about to get a new plastics to green company that's setting up a pyrolysis system that will allow us to take plastics and turn it back into graphene and synth fuels and a few other things.
okay,
And they'll even pay you for the plastics.
terrific.
So, something we might look into in the
Susan,
future.
All right.
I mean, owning a plastics fabrication company, I'm thrilled about this.
Okay,
Right.
great.
So that was neither here nor there, just a comment out here. Good thing. It's a quiet summer. I've got some District 6 interns, but nobody from university.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know, I mean, usually it's somewhere either from, at least 2 or 3 to 10. And so, I don't know what happened this year. But anyway, we met as a joint use committee, and I don't think actually any real decisions made. We've got new carpet that's going to be going in, but we needed to follow back up because there was something kind of weird with the quotes that came out. They weren't quite apples to apples.
We
Did
did
we get
pick out,
follow-up?
Stephen and I met last week and picked the carpet and the cap and got it all to the carpet people, so.
Okay, and we figured out what was different between the two?
Mhm.
Okay,
New carpet for the auditorium.
for the auditorium, yeah.
Did they work on drapes?
Curtain, they're still working on.
Still working on it.
Yeah. They've got the original company that did the curtains
Finally.
telling us they'll quote them, but I think there might be a waiting list.
Yeah, they wanna come and say, but to actually
It's-
look at
yeah.
them, but they haven't made it out yet.
Yeah. And the other thing that we're gonna work on is looking at moving a lot of the connections for the audio system and back into a locked environment so that we don't have people helping us re-engineer the audio system all the time into a unfunctional state. So I think those are the things happening there, but yeah, otherwise it's summer and it's kind of nice having kids at home. And how quick can we send them back?
35 days? 35 days? That's not many. We've got a countdown on the screens, and every time it comes up, I'm like,
Yeah, not much for me. I'm excited to join the board and work with y'all. So, thank you.
Yeah, quiet summer, which is kind of nice. Yeah, to have a little quiet, but welcome. Glad to have you. Looking forward to this next year. I hope we can accomplish some really good things. Keep moving forward on our vision and focus on making our students succeed better and our community better. Looking forward to that.
I have a daughter doing a District 6 internship this summer. I really appreciate that partnership. That was really good for our kids, so that's going well, but I don't have anything to report.
Who's Ryan?
Ryan?
Well, I don't know how well you guys can hear me.
We're good.
I hear you
Can
great.
you hear me? Thumbs up. Amen. Oh, hey, awesome. Well, welcome to the new guys. Definitely excited to have you guys on board. As a report from the foundation, one of the things that we're anticipating this next year is a deficit in our mill levy. And just through talking with Jennifer and kind of looking at things, one of the big things that will have to take a cut, or we'll have to kind of scramble to find other funding for, will be things like our field trips and some of those extra things. And so the foundation just pledged to be able to raise some money to kind of cover that shortfall. And so we're launching a campaign. You may have seen it, but we'll have some more stuff coming out during registration. But we're trying to push a 25 and 25 campaign where we're trying to get families to be willing to donate anything, basically. But our push is for people to donate $25 a month for the school year 25-26 to be a part of just what the foundation is doing and also to be able to cover that shortfall. Our goal is 100% participation. Really, we're just trying to get people, I guess we're just trying to work with the administration and work with the school to try to recreate that whole picture of Bulldog and Bulldog families and involvement. And we're not looking for a certain dollar amount necessarily from all the families to be involved. We're just trying to get families to be involved, whether they're getting $1 a month or $1,000 a month, it doesn't matter. We're just trying to get people to re-engage and financially re-support the school, just so that as we face more things in the future, knowing that funding is going to be one of those things that's going to be contentious year after year, we really want to start to build a robust foundation that can hopefully start to fill some of those backfill some of those. And then this is where I get to be the fundraiser guy and the bad guy. But one of the biggest hindrances that we have in seeking money from certain donors and certain groups is when we tell people that we have less than 25% support from our own board. Between the foundation board and the board of governors, we have about 30%, 40% participation. And unfortunately, that's something that a lot of donors ask. They ask at what level our own administration and our boards are engaged and involved in financially supporting the school. And so when we have to tell them that we only have 30 to 40% engagement in our board, a lot of them unfortunately won't engage with us. And so it's going to be my continuous plea. I don't care what dollar amount or what financial amount. I really need to get the support from both boards, the foundation board and the board of governors, to be involved on at least some level of financial support. Like I said, I don't care if you're giving $1 or $5 a month, or if you're giving $1,000 a month. It's just the fact that I can hopefully be able to engage some of those donors in saying that we have 100% board engagement. That's one of my biggest things that I want to try to get completed by the end of the summer. So from a foundation standpoint, really just looking at you guys to step up and being willing to support what the school is doing financially. So that's kind of the report from the foundation. And other than that, hey, a great summer. I'm enjoying things, running around a lot, getting to see a lot of the kids at home. It's been fun. So, congratulations, Laura. Welcome to our new people again. Congratulations, Justin and Scott. You continue to kind of lead us forward. And I'm just excited to see what this next year has.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. You'll send out the sign up for the foundation. There's a sign up. Do you have like a link that we can?
I can definitely send that link out again.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. All right. We'll move to our next regular meeting is scheduled for August 13th at 6 o'clock. It was tentative here until we voted those in, so it'll now be the 13th at 6. And that is it.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right.
And
All those
guess
in
what,
favor?
David?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.